This is the type of thing that the club said they were going to do. They were going to bring in these young players with a view to developing them and then adding value to them as well. This guy here, he's clearly somebody who is young. He's going to be hungry. He's going to want to make his mark in England. So welcome back to Small Earth Alliance FC. And just before the start of the League One season, in fact, on the day of Birmingham City's first fixture at home to Reading, in the morning, Birmingham City announced their 10th new signing of the season. A Japanese centre forward. I am going to have to look at my screen to read this out. Ayumu Yokoyama as the new signing. So in this video, this podcast, we just want to have a quick chat about the signing. Maybe tell you a little bit about what we found about him, and just have our thoughts on what we think and how he'll fit into Birmingham City. So, Matt, you saw the announcement. Any thoughts?
I mean, on a more light-hearted note, I think the social media team and the marketing team at Blues are being quite funny this year. I remember when Clara got announced, they did this Dumb and Dumber retake. When he pulls up, Jim Carrey pulls up and pops his head out. It was really funny. And I really liked the introduction here. They had Miyoshi on the Nintendo Switch, and then he pressed multiplayer. And he looks to his right, and then he says his name, and obviously it goes black. So, just an appreciation for the Blues marketing team. They're doing some really funny stuff this season, which is really making me laugh. Yeah. But you know what? I'm not gonna lie, Dad. I don't know much about this player, and I think it's really in the interest of honesty on this podcast. We have to do a lot of research, don't we, on various areas that we don't know. Yeah. I have looked him up. I have looked at a few threads. I've seen a few videos on YouTube. He does look like a dangerous player. I think his biggest attribute from what I've seen is pace. Yeah. He looks very, very fast. Yeah. But Dad, you're the stat man, and let's get into some of his stats and his career, and then we'll go from there, I think.
Yeah, and the thing about signing young players, particularly ones from other parts of the world and other leagues, is sometimes the level of data available is hard to find. This lad is 21 years old. He's 1.7 metres, so he's not the tallest of forwards. He's actually stated as a centre forward, but I'm going to talk about that in a minute, actually. But we've signed him from a Japanese club from the Japanese J League, Sagan Tosu, who are near the bottom of the J League. It's to me, a very strange time for them to sell him, because they've still got, I think, 10 games left of their season, and they are still able to get out of that. But he's now part of our club. He's signed for us. The question I sort of looked at is terms of what type of abilities has this player got, and you mentioned that the biggest attribute that, from what I've read, is he's very, very fast.
Yeah, speed.
He's young. He's played 45 games for Sagan Tosu and scored 7 goals and 7 assists, which is okay. He was at a club previously, Matsumoto Yama, played 47 games for them, 11 goals, 1 assist. So clearly there is goals in him. But this is the thing when I looked at which surprised me. He's classified as a centre forward, but when I look at his heat map, if you don't know what a heat map, if you can do research on players, the heat map, it shows you where they predominantly are on a pitch on average during a game. If you look at his heat map, nearly all of it is on the left-hand side.
I was going to say, because when I did my little bit of research, it says he was predominantly a left-sided player. Right-footed as well, though, so he likes to cut in and shoot a lot, apparently. But I saw that, Dad. Left wing was his predominant
If he's
preferred
right-footed, though, this is what I thought. He looks. When I looked at his heat map, he looks like a left-winger. That's what his heat map shows, but he's classified as a centre-forward. But if he's right-footed, I'm wondering if he's brought in to be a challenger to Miyoshi on the right.
And also with Miyoshi, and this is a really good point, Dad, because I wanted to talk about this, because he's a left-sided player. I was thinking about different ways he could be utilised and different ways that we could, have him at Blues. And one of my thoughts was, if he is a forward, keep him as a forward, because he gives us a slightly different option to Alfie May, doesn't it? And by the way, I love Alfie May. I think he's a great player. I think he should be our starting number 9. He's a bagsman. But he just gives us a different kind of outlet. If he's fast, he can get in behind defences, he can run. Yeah. And also with the right wing, Miyoshi likes to cut in. He's quite predictable. Whereas if we can get a right wing, a byline-based right winger who can get to the byline and get some crosses in for his final delivery, If we could utilise that and get him playing that style of football, I think brilliant. I think
I,
I
that,
think it would be a really good way to use him.
That's a good point, and I think that looking at his heat map and obviously being predominantly on the left, I can't see him being used in that position because we've already got Sariki Dembele, Emil Hansen, Keshi Anderson. There's already a group of players in that position, but on the right we haven't. If he's right-footed, then I think he's been brought in to play on the right-hand side of the forward line in the Miyoshi position. But like I say, he's got the level of pace. But looking at his attributes, his biggest positivity in terms of the difference. So there's basically 6 categories that the stats will show you in terms of goal threat, creativity, ball carrying, passing, ball winning, and aerial. Right. So his highest one is ball carrying. So obviously he's a dribbler. And obviously not necessarily a dribbler, maybe just a speed train. Second is his goal threat, which is his second. Then there's creativity. The 3 lowest ones, one of them is ball winning. So I think it looks like in order for us to utilise him effectively, he's going to have to ball pinged behind the forward line of the other team. The other team, yeah. Passing isn't isn't great. It's not the best. And the worst out of all 6 is aerial. But that's not a surprise, given that you're probably going to be the one supplying the crosses. And unless he's super fast, he can cross it and then get into the box and head his own crosses in. It's no surprise that aerial is not going to be his strong point. So I think definitely ball carrying, goal threat, and creativity are real high attributes on his score here. Yeah. Which is what we want up front, isn't it?
Good for winger, good for striker, isn't it? They're good attributes to have. Depending on how you utilise those kind of players, they're good attributes to have in that attacking final third of the pitch, aren't they? And I've picked up on similar stuff. My words were agile, great technique, fast on and off the ball, and likes to shoot from distance. And when I saw the little YouTube clips I was watching, he really does. He cuts in and he pings it pretty aggressively, 20, 25, 30 yards. He loves a shot from distance. And one of my things about Blues over the years is, we say that you don't shoot, you don't score, do you? And we tend to not shoot massively and test the goalkeeper from range, do we? We're not that kind of club where we... we'll fire it in. If he can give us that, again, another element to our game where he's not scared to try the keeper from far out, I'll be happy with that. And again, don't want to get any Blues fans excited here, but people have been comparing him to Sakamoto from Coventry. And I work in Coventry. I know a lot of Coventry fans. They love Sakamoto. He's a great player, really fast, really agile. He makes such a difference on that right wing. So if we just got... By the way, the reason why I reference Sakamoto is just style of play. So if we've got a player who's similar to that, I think we've got someone who could be really dangerous on our hands.
The stats that I look at as well, they also give you player similarity. So they look at a player and actually say who's he closely linked to. One of them, which is fantastic, is Jayden Philogene, who's gone back to Aston Villa. He was at Hull City.
Good player, yeah.
So he's a really good player as well. They've given us some other examples of similar types of players. Tom Fellows from West Bromwich Albion, so fast, pacey type of players. So, and also I think this is the type of thing that the club said they were going to do. They were going to bring in these young players with a view to developing them and then adding value to them as well. This guy here, he's clearly somebody who is young. He's going to be hungry. He's going to want to make his mark in England. So I think that, is he going to be first choice? Well, that's going to be down to him when he gets his chance, isn't it? But I think he might be the type of player that we might see develop over, particularly as the season goes on. But he could be another good addition, something different where we actually need it. But for me, classing him as a centre forward is a little bit misleading, I think, based upon what of the stats I've looked at. He does look like a left winger to me, but because he's right-footed, he might have been brought in specifically to play on the right wing.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt about it. We're not oversubscribed on the left, but we've got good depth now, haven't we? We've got Hansen, who I believe is now going to be the new leading left forward, and obviously we've got Dembele to back up. Keshi Anderson can play on the left as well, so we've got good depth and quality on the left-hand side. And I think, as you've highlighted this in previous videos, that we could do with getting another right wing or another right attacking-minded player in, couldn't we? We were a little bit lacking in depth. I thought Ramal Donovan was going to fill that sort of secondary space towards Miyoshi, but he obviously hasn't featured on the bench so far against Reading. So, to me personally, I'd either love him to be an alternative to May in terms of like a bit more of an in-the-back, pacey, running down the line kind of player, or a challenger to Miyoshi, where we said earlier in the video, he's more of a get to the the byline and cross it in kind of play. I'd love to see that pacey, get past that left back and get some balls in the box. Because even the first game against Reading, Dad, I know obviously we did highlight Laird in particular, but all over the pitch, our final delivery was very poor. You know,
Yeah.
we were getting crosses into the box, but they were aimless. They weren't very effective. Whereas if we can really train him to ping that ball in on a spot, and I think we could be onto a winner there. So for me, I think he's a good signing. Only future will tell because we don't know much about him. We never know how these players are going to adapt to the English style of football either. But from what I've been seeing and reading, I'm quite excited and I'm intrigued to see where Chris Davis thinks he's going to add value in the Blues team.
Yeah, I always look as well. Just my final points, really. I've looked at the fixtures he's played for his team this season. See how much. Like, you could look at a player, and he could be someone who comes on like just as a substitute, but he's not. I mean, he has been playing. You know, every fixture apart from one for the last 20 games. No, sorry, the last 15 games. Is 79th minute, he was substituted, 80th minute, 90th minute, 84th. So he's obviously a first choice at this team here. Can get a goal here and there and an assist. But obviously, I think Blues would have done the homework on him, so he's been brought in for specific reasons. So another different form of ammunition that we've got, I think, with this type of player. And if it is brought in to give Miyoshi some competition, that's only because we did say we needed a right winger, or I did. I know you've agreed, haven't you?
Yeah.
He's played for the Japanese under-20s, played twice for them as well. So obviously he's a developing player in the national team as well. So I think overall, I don't know what the fees. Have you heard what the fees?
Don't know. I mean,
Probably
it's always undisclosed.
Famous
isn't it?
undisclosed.
Always undisclosed. But they always somehow get leaked. But I don't know whether you referenced this earlier in the video. I'm sure you did. I can't remember. But he's only 21 as well. So very young, exciting talent. And I love having the younger players in because you get the chance to nurture them, grow their game. And then even if it's not working out, sometimes you sell them on for pretty decent fees, don't you? But
I don't think we paid a fortune for him. Obviously,
No,
looking at the websites I look at for researching these types of players, and these are only guidelines. They valued him at 600k, and they are only guidelines. That's not saying the player's worth that much. They're saying that and his value has started to increase over the last few years as well. So I suspect we've got him for a fairly sort of competitive price as well.
It's hard to value. So his value would be 600k from the Japanese market, doesn't it? So who knows what his value will be when he comes over to England and starts playing English football? It could either go down or up. It depends on.
That's the same with any player.
Exactly. So the reason why I say that is take that 600k with a pinch of salt. Until we see him play in League One, we don't really know what he's made of yet, do we? So I'm excited to see him, see what he's got, and I have no doubt with Chris Davis he will get his shot at some point to really show what he's made of.
Yeah, so what do you think, Blues fans? It's one of those ones where I'm guessing that most of you don't know very much about this player, which is why we do the research for you to try and give you a bit more of an insight into the type of players that Birmingham City are now bringing in. But love to get your opinion on what your thoughts are, and how you think this new lad is going to fit into our team. Whether you think he'll be on the right, or maybe as an out-and-out striker, or maybe just behind Alfie May. Who knows? What's your thoughts on that? And please add a comment below and let us know, as always. If you like the video, please give us a thumbs up and give us a like and let us know that you enjoyed the content. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, make sure you pop over to our X page and Instagram page, and you'll see the handles for both of those appearing on the screen right now. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Matt will see you on the next video.